Hello and welcome to Calmvestor podcast. I am Ethan. Join me on this journey to build solid financial thinking and take control of your financial future. Today, we are diving into a fascinating concept called the framing effect. It explains how a financial decision that seems perfectly logical can completely change based on how the information is presented. Imagine two people receive the exact same investment proposal. One is told it has an 80% success rate. The other is told it has a 20% risk of failure. How do you think their reactions might differ? The person focusing on success is likely more enthusiastic, while the one focusing on risk might be more cautious. Yet the underlying opportunity is identical. This is the framing effect in action. Have you ever chosen a financial product because of its appealing advertisements, only to realize later it was not as good as you thought? Perhaps the way it was framed influenced your perception more than the actual substance. It is suggested that a significant percentage of consumers are swayed more by the presentation of information than by the actual numbers when selecting financial products. The wording truly matters. As Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel laureate, pointed out, the way we frame a problem is often more important than the problem itself. Words have the power to shape our perception and, consequently, our decisions. Think about a credit card ad. It might highlight cashback up to 5% on all spending. Sounds great, right? But it might not emphasize that the cashback is capped monthly or applies only to specific categories. So what exactly is this framing effect? Simply put, it is a cognitive bias. It means the way information is presented, whether positively or negatively, affects our choices, even if the core information is the same. This concept was extensively researched by psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. Their work showed how subtle changes in wording could lead to dramatically different decisions. Why is this so crucial in finance? Financial decisions often involve risk, benefits, and complex numbers. This makes them particularly susceptible to manipulation through language. It is important to distinguish between providing clear information and deliberately framing it to mislead. One is about transparency, the other about subtle persuasion. For instance, an investment product might be described as having a 90% chance of success. This is a positive frame. It makes you feel optimistic and confident. Conversely, the same product could be framed as having only a 10% risk of failure. This is a negative frame, even though it conveys the same statistical reality. It might make you feel more anxious. As Richard Thaler, another Nobel laureate in economics, suggested, humans are not always rational. We often make decisions based on emotions and how information is framed for us. What are the challenges when financial consumers face this framing effect? Well, it can lead to choosing suboptimal or even detrimental products. You might lose money unnecessarily. For example, you might pick a product with a seemingly high interest rate, but it comes with many hidden fees. Or you might miss a better opportunity because a negative frame made you overly fearful. The framing effect can also lead to a misunderstanding of risk. A product might be presented in a way that makes it seem safer than it is, or vice versa. It also makes comparing products difficult. If each product is framed differently, an objective comparison becomes a real challenge. How do you weigh apples against oranges when they are described in completely different terms? This can lead to a sense of regret after making a decision. You might realize you were swayed by the presentation rather than a thorough analysis of the product's actual merits. And let us not forget the psychological pressure from scarcity or herd mentality frames. Phrases like, only X slots available or thousands have already joined, can push us to act hastily. Warren Buffett once implied that the most dangerous thing in investing is not knowing what you are doing. This ignorance can be amplified when framing obscures a product's true nature. Consider a loan advertised with interest rate of only 1% per month. It sounds low, but that translates to 12% per year, and the annual percentage rate could be even higher with fees. Or an investment fund might be advertised with outstanding returns last year without mentioning potential risks or poor performance in previous years. That is a selective, positive frame. So what are the root causes? Why does the framing effect have such a hold on us? It cleverly exploits several psychological tendencies. One major factor is loss aversion. As Kahneman and Tversky's prospect theory highlights, humans tend to fear losses more than they enjoy equivalent gains. Negative frames like "you will miss out" can be very powerful. Our brains also love mental shortcuts, or heuristics. Frames simplify information, making it easier to process. But this simplification can sometimes be misleading. Then there is the anchoring bias. The first piece of information we receive, the frame, often becomes the reference point for all subsequent evaluations. It sets the stage. Information overload is another contributor. When faced with too much complex data, people tend to rely on the presentation, the frame, to make quick decisions. Finally, emotions play a significant role. The way information is presented can trigger feelings like fear, greed, or hope, which can overpower rational thought. Daniel Kahneman noted that our brain is like a meaning-making machine. Sometimes, even when there is no inherent meaning, frames provide a ready-made meaning. For instance, an insurance company might emphasize, "You will lose everything without insurance." Tapping into loss aversion instead of insurance helps you protect your assets securely. Now for the important part, how can we recognize and avoid being swayed by the framing effect? We need to cultivate critical thinking and focus on the substance. First, try to reframe the information yourself. If it is presented positively, consider the negative aspects, and vice versa. Actively reword it. For example, if you see 0% interest for the first 6 months, ask, what is the interest rate afterwards? What is the total cost of borrowing? Second, focus on absolute numbers and the core substance. Ignore the fancy words and concentrate on specific figures, terms, and conditions. What are the facts? Always ask, what does this number mean? Compared to what? What are the real costs? What are the actual risks involved here? Instead of being impressed by a huge 20% discount, calculate the actual amount of money you save. Is it truly significant for you? Third, seek information from multiple sources and make comparisons. Do not rely solely on one source, especially if it is the seller. Compare similar products from different providers. Read reviews and evaluations from independent sources. Consult with trusted experts or experienced individuals. Fourth, learn to identify trap words. Be wary of terms like guaranteed returns, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, no risk, or everyone succeeds. Always inquire about the conditions attached to such promises. What is the fine print saying? There is rarely such a thing as a free lunch, especially in finance. As Benjamin Graham, the father of value investing, might suggest, an intelligent investor never stops asking questions. Think for yourself rather than letting others think for you. When considering an investment fund, do not just look at the advertised rate of return, which is often a positive frame. Also investigate the risk level, the fees, and its long-term performance compared to market benchmarks. Becoming a savvy financial consumer is not overly difficult. By recognizing and understanding the framing effect, we can protect ourselves and make wiser decisions for our financial future. It is about being aware of how information is packaged. This awareness empowers you to look beyond the surface and uncover the real details that matter. So I encourage you to practice critical thinking in all your financial dealings. Remember, knowledge is power, especially in the world of finance. As a call to action, start paying more attention to how financial information is presented around you, starting today. How is it being framed? Imagine how much money you could save, or how many unnecessary risks you could avoid, just by asking a few more of the right questions before committing to any financial product. Thanks for listening. If you found this content valuable, do not forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next episode. Have an amazing day filled with positive energy.